Welcome to the Data Visualization Showcase for CIT 348's Group 4. Brady Lovell, Charles Spilsbury, Huang Leo, and Noah Crawford. Presented by Charles Spilsbury. The plan for this showcase is to go over data visualizations. First, we will discuss what a data visualization is. Then, we will cover various examples of data visualizations. We will then evaluate those visuals and then wrap up with some takeaways and any questions. The data available to us today is vast, abstract, and can be overwhelming. Raw numbers alone rarely tell us the full story. It is important for us to be able to draw patterns, trends, and meanings from the data available to us. This is where data visualization comes in. Data visualizations transform raw data into clear, well-designed visuals to allow for insights to emerge. Humans are natural pattern recognizers. Data visuals help our brains process complex information quickly to better support decisions. Simply taking raw data and turning it into a visual doesn't immediately make it good and effective. There are rules we must adhere to when creating good visuals and bad decisions that we must avoid to avoid bad visuals. Rules we should keep in mind when creating good visuals are clear and simple design, choosing the right chart for what the story is that we want to tell, an accurate representation of our data, an effective use of colors, context to what we are looking at, highlighting any insights that are drawn, and focus on the audience the story is being told to. Some bad pitfalls to avoid are the wrong chart type, misleading scales, poor eyesore-inducing colors, a lack of context, unnecessary and superfluous decorations that clutter and make a visual far too complex to be able to draw insights from. There are many different data visualization tools available to us. Some of the most common are Power Business Insight, Python, Tableau, Excel, and Looker Studio, provided by Google. Let's now jump into some of our visualization examples. Throughout this presentation, we have made good use of the datasets available on Kaggle.com. The dataset for these upcoming visualizations has to do with Netflix and the TV shows and movies available as of 2019. For these visualizations, we used Looker Studio, and we created a donut chart and two bar charts. Up first, we have a donut chart. This chart is a breakdown of the Netflix catalog in 2019 by percentage of movies and TV shows. Then we move over to our bar charts, where we have a total catalog count for the movies and TV shows available on Netflix. And finally, we go over the number of movies based on their release date that are available in the catalog. Looker Studio is a comprehensive data visualization platform provided by Google. Therefore, you can log in with a Google ID at Looker Studio. You'll be prompted to upload a dataset. Ours was from Kaggle.com. Then, once you have your dataset in there, you can select to add a chart. Here you can see that you have a whole plethora of charts to choose from. Once you've selected the chart that matches the style that you need, you will be able to select what data points that you want to include in the chart. And from there, a chart is generated for you. While those charts were nice, we need to evaluate them for their strengths and weaknesses. We can go over the positives, that they were clean, simple visuals that had easy to read color schemes and had easy to understand data. However, there were some problems. The narrative produced by the charts could be a little bit more clear. And as we saw, there were some erroneous data points in the labeling that should have been worked out. Returning to Kaggle.com, we find another dataset. This one is the GDP per country from the years 2020 to 2025. This dataset has been loaded into Excel. And here we have produced a couple more visuals to look at. One is going to be a trend line, and the second will be a horizontal bar chart. Let's first look at the line chart. Here we're looking at the annual GDP growth from the years 2020 to 2025 for the top 10 GDPs in the world. At the top, we have the United States, followed not too far behind by China. And then, in a distant third, we have a cluster of additional countries. When looking at the trends that we can pull from this chart, we see steady growth for both the United States and relatively steady growth that has tailed off for China. The remaining countries in the top 10 all have flat to negative growth since 2020. When we move over to the bar chart, we're looking at the top 25 GDPs in the year 2025. We can see that in 25th place, we have Sweden. And all the way at the top, we have the United States. One of the benefits of this bar chart is the scale to which we see the difference in production by these nations. Let's go over how exactly we made these visuals for the GDP dataset. After downloading our dataset from Kaggle, we can open up Excel and go to the Data tab, where we'll have the option to upload our data. This is in the form of a CSV file, and we can simply load it in because we're going to look at this whole chart before refining it. In step 2, we're going to go over manipulating our data a little bit. We want to turn this into a table. We can go into the Insert tab, select Table, and then we'll be able to create a table. Once that table is created, we can move over to step 3, where we're going to filter our data. Originally, it was sorted by the alphabet. We want to move this over. We're going to go with 25, and we're going to sort it largest to smallest. With our data sorted, we can now select the actual cells that we want to use for our table. In this case, we're looking at the top 25 countries, and then for the year 2025. So with both of those selected, we can then go back over to Insert and select from the visuals drop down the type of chart that we want to produce. And in this case, we ended up producing a 2D vertical bar chart. The same process is going to happen when we created the line chart. As you can see in step 5, we've selected a different amount of data here because we want to see a trend of the change in GDP from 2020 to 2025. We're going to select all of our years plus the top 10 countries. And back in the Insert tab, we're going to this time select a line chart. The line chart that's produced had to have some edits, and here in step 6, you can see that we were swapping around the axes so that it actually showed a change over years and gave us the trend that we wanted to see. Let's evaluate how effective those charts were. We have many positives on both those charts. Once again, they were clean, simple visuals with easy to read color schemes, and the data was clearly understandable. The narrative was well demonstrated, and they were effective charts. We did have some negatives where the scaling of very large numbers could be adjusted. Let's review some key takeaways from data visualizations. Data visuals transform raw numbers into actionable insights. You must always choose the right tool for the job or story you're trying to tell. Good visuals are clear, accurate, and know the audience they are intended for. It is important to avoid clutter, misleading scales, poor color choices as they hurt the eyes, missing context, and weak narratives. At the end of the day, an effective visualization combines both clear communication and a strong narrative. Thank you for listening to the Data Visualization Showcase for Group 4. If you have any questions or comments, please direct them to our group. Thank you.